The room went silent, and for
Ya,
exactly
hati-hati di jalan,
10
Nak.
seconds,
Insyaallah, Bu.
the
Jaga diri
world
ya.
watched
Kamu juga.
Kim
Kabar ya.
Seokjin break in a way no one expected. Hello, Army. Before we dive into this emotional story, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because what you're about to hear isn't just another BTS moment. This is something deeply human, raw, and unforgettable. I am the global spotlight where perfection is expected, where idols are seen as untouchable figures of strength. Kim Seokjin has always stood out. Known as worldwide handsome, the confident oldest member of BTS, the one who jokes, laughs, and carries the group with quiet leadership. But behind that bright smile, there's a son. A son who, like millions of people around the world, has someone he loves more than anything, his mother. For years, fans have only caught glimpses of Jin's relationship with his mother. He's mentioned her in interviews, in small stories, in passing jokes. He once shared how she supported him when he chose a risky path into entertainment instead of a stable academic future. He spoke about her cooking, her quiet strength, and the way she believed in him before the world ever did. But nothing prepared fans for what happened during that now viral moment. It all began during a live broadcast segment tied to a major BTS milestone, one that captured attention across the United States and beyond. The group had just wrapped a historic run, dominating charts, selling out stadiums, and once again proving why BTS isn't just a K-pop group, they're a global phenomenon. Alongside him was Jungkook, the golden magne, whose own emotional moments have often gone viral among American audiences. Everything felt celebratory. Bright lights, laughter, the familiar chemistry fans love. Jin was smiling, joking as usual, even teasing Jungkook like he always does. It felt normal, safe, predictable, until it wasn't. The host asked a simple question, one that seemed harmless at first. What's one person you're most thankful for, especially during your journey to this level of success? Jungkook answered first, mentioning the members, the fans, and the team behind them. His answer was heartfelt, but expected. Then the camera turned to Jin. For a split second, he smiled. That same confident, composed smile fans have seen for years. But then something shifted. His eyes softened. His posture changed. And instead of delivering a polished answer, he paused 0.1 second, 0.2 seconds, 0.3, and suddenly, the room felt different. Jin quietly said, "My mother," just 2 words, but the way he said it, it hit differently. He tried to continue. He really did. He began talking about how she supported him, how she trusted him when he decided to leave a traditional path and chase something uncertain. He mentioned how she never pressured him, never doubted him, even when success wasn't guaranteed. But then his voice cracked, and for 10 seconds, Jin couldn't speak. And oh, music. No editing. No distraction, just silence to silence, so heavy that even the audience, both in the room and watching online, felt it instantly. Jungkook looked at him, visibly concerned, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't exaggerated. It was real. The kind of reaction you don't rehearse. And in that moment, millions of fans across the United States and around the world stopped scrolling, stopped talking, and just watched. Because this wasn't idol Jin. This was Kim Seokjin, the son. When he finally spoke again, his words were simple. He said he wished he could spend more time with her. That despite all the success, the awards, the global recognition, there are still moments he feels he's missed. And that's when it happened. Tears, not dramatic sobbing. Not a breakdown, just quiet tears, the kind that say more than words ever could. Within minutes, the clip spread like wildfire across social media platforms. American fans on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube began sharing reactions. Some called it the most human moment in BTS history. Others said, "This is why Jin hits different." Major entertainment outlets picked it up, highlighting how even at the peak of global fame, Jin remains deeply grounded in his personal relationships. One viral tweet read, "He conquered the world, but still feels like he hasn't done enough for his mom." That's Jin. Another said, "Those 10 seconds of silence were louder than any speech." And maybe that's the truth, because in a world filled with noise, sometimes silence speaks the loudest. What makes this moment even more powerful is how it contrasts with Jin's usual image. He's known for being the emotional anchor of BTS, but rarely does he show vulnerability in such a raw, unfiltered way. He's the one who comforts others, who lifts the mood, who turns awkward moments into laughter. But this time he didn't hide it, and fans noticed. They didn't just watch the clip, they felt it. Many began sharing their own stories about their parents, about missed calls, unspoken gratitude, moments they wished they could go back to. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a global superstar. It was about everyone. Jungkook's presence in that moment also didn't go unnoticed. Fans pointed out how quickly he reacted, how naturally he supported Jin without drawing attention to himself. It reminded everyone of the bond between the members, a bond that goes far beyond music. Some fans even said that Jungkook's quiet support made the moment even more emotional because it showed that Jin wasn't alone, and maybe that's the beauty of BTS. Even in their most vulnerable moments, they stand together. As the clip continued to circulate, discussions began to shift. People weren't just talking about Jin's tears, they were talking about what they meant: success, sacrifice, family, time. All the things that don't always make headlines but matter the most. Because here's the reality: Jin has achieved what millions only dream of. He's performed on the biggest stages in the United States, broken records, and built a legacy that will last for generations. But in those 10 seconds, none of that mattered. It was just him thinking about his mother. And that's what made it unforgettable. As the video ends, fans are left with a question that lingers long after the screen fades to black. What would you say? If you had just 10 seconds to tell your parents how much they mean to you, drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this moment touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about fame, they're about love. And just when people thought the moment had already said everything, the story didn't end there. Because what happened after those 10 seconds is what truly shook millions. As the broadcast continued, Kim Seok-jin tried to regain his composure. He wiped his eyes, gave that familiar small smile, the one fans recognize as his way of saying, "I'm okay." But something had clearly shifted. The atmosphere in the room was no longer just celebratory. It was intimate, personal. And then, Jin said something that no one expected. He looked slightly down, avoiding the camera for a second, and softly added that there were times he couldn't call his mother, not because he didn't want to, but because he was too busy. Too caught up in schedules, rehearsals, flights, recordings, the endless cycle of global fame. That line alone hit harder than anything else, because suddenly the narrative changed. This wasn't just about gratitude anymore. It was about regret, a quiet, unspoken kind of regret that so many people, especially in the United States, where hustle culture dominates, immediately related to. The idea that success often comes at the cost of time. And sometimes that cost is paid with the people we love most. The camera briefly cut to Jungkook again, who gave Jin a reassuring nod. No words, just understanding. And in that tiny interaction, fans saw something deeper. Years of shared experiences, sacrifices, and moments that only they could truly understand. Online, reactions exploded even more intensely. American armies began creating side-by-side edits of Jin's past interviews, highlighting every time he mentioned his mother. From funny stories about her cooking to heartfelt comments about her support during his trainee days, suddenly, every piece of content felt more meaningful. One viral comment read, He always joked about his mom, but now we see how much she really means to him. Another said, "That wasn't just Jin crying. That was every child who grew up and got too busy to say, 'I love you.'" And maybe that's why this moment crossed cultural boundaries so effortlessly, because no matter where you're from, everyone understands that feeling. As clips continued trending across TikTok and YouTube in the US, creators began analyzing not just Jin's words, but his silence. Body language experts even weighed in, pointing out how his pause wasn't hesitation, it was emotional overload. A moment where feelings became too heavy to immediately translate into words, and that's rare, especially for someone like Jin, because if you've followed BTS for years, you know that Jin often uses humor as a shield. He deflects serious emotions with jokes, lightens heavy moments with his personality. It's part of what makes him so loved, but this time, he didn't. He let the moment happen, he let himself feel it. And in doing so, he allowed millions of people to feel it with him. As the video reached its peak viral status, major US-based entertainment channels began referencing it in discussions about celebrity vulnerability. Some compared it to other iconic emotional moments in pop culture, times when stars dropped the persona and revealed something real. But fans were quick to say one thing: this isn't just a celebrity moment. This is Jin. And that distinction matters, because Jin has always been more than just an idol to ARMY. He's someone who feels relatable despite the unimaginable level of fame. Someone who reminds fans that it's okay to laugh, to cry, to be imperfect, and this moment reinforced that more than ever. What made the story even more powerful was what happened later that day. According to fans who followed the timeline closely, Jin briefly returned to a fan communication platform. No dramatic statement, no long explanation, just a simple message. He said he hoped everyone was taking care of their families and that if possible, they should tell them they love them. That was it, and no mention of what happened earlier. But that one message, it sent another wave across the fandom because it confirmed something important. Those 10 seconds weren't just a passing emotional moment. They meant something to him. And he wanted it to mean something to others too. Meanwhile, Jungkook also subtly acknowledged the moment in his own way. During a later appearance, he mentioned how the members rely on each other during difficult times. He didn't name Jin directly, but fans connected the dots instantly. It was another reminder of the bond that defines BTS. Not just as performers, but as people as brothers. And as the story continued to circulate, something unexpected began to happen. Instead of fading like most viral clips do, it stayed. It lingered, because people kept coming back to it, not for entertainment, but for reflection. Parents started sharing the video with their children. Children started calling their parents. Comments flooded in from viewers saying things like, "I just texted my mom after watching this," or "I haven't talked to my dad in weeks. This made me realize I should." And just like that, Jin's 10 seconds became something bigger than BTS. It became a moment of connection, a reminder to a wake-up call. And maybe that's the real reason it resonated so deeply in the United States, a culture where time moves fast, where success is often prioritized, where emotional moments like this feel both rare and necessary. Because Jin didn't just share a memory, he shared a truth. That no matter how far you go, no matter how much you achieve, there's always a part of you that remains. Someone's child, and sometimes that part needs to be heard. As we reach the end of this story, one question remains, one that millions of fans are still thinking about even now. If you were in Jin's position, standing there, with the world watching, what would you say about your mother? Would you thank her, apologize, or simply say, "I love you"? Let us know in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, if it made you feel something real, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because here we don't just talk about BTS moments, we tell the stories that matter.